Okay, new bike day. Let's jump right in. No sense in wasting any time. I'm going to show you what it is right off the bat. It is a CFMoto Ibex 450. Now, already some of you might be reeling in your chairs going, what? I thought for sure John was going to get a new Himalayan 450, and I almost did. I test rode easily a half a dozen bikes, and I did narrow it down to both the Himalayan and the Ibex. But ultimately, as you can see, I went with the Ibex, and it was a very difficult decision. Came down to quite a few different factors and variables. So what I thought I would do is I'd let you peer inside my mind a little bit, and I've got my laptop here, and I'm going to tell you exactly what it is that motivated me to steer ever so slightly in this direction from the Himalayan, because I'll tell you, it was really close. So now you may remember late last year, I posted a video talking about how I was ready to move on from my Himalayan 411. And it took me quite a while to get to that point, but I had sort of eventually got there and realized I wanted something a little bigger, a little more powerful, a little bit more capable on the freeways, but also just something new, something exciting, something to finally finish out my garage. I've got my CRF 300L, which is sort of my true pure dual sport that I take on all the technical stuff, do my trail riding, but I wanted a legitimate adventure bike that I feel could hold its own in all sorts of environments. And so I started looking back in September. I started putting my list together of non-negotiables, of ideal specs that I was hoping for. And as you'll see as I go through this list, it very quickly got narrowed down to the new Himalayan and the new Ibex. And I was able to test ride a Himalayan back in October, and I loved it. It was a great bike. It felt just like my old Himalayan, except more capable, more powerful, amazing suspension. It's a great bike. Really smooth throttle, just a great bike. And I didn't get a chance to test ride one of these. And so on paper, this bike seemed perfect, but until I got to ride one, I didn't really know for sure. And then I finally got to ride one about a month ago. And once I did, I realized, okay, I'm good with this bike. This is the bike that I want to go with. Now, there are some obvious question marks. This is a Chinese bike. What does that mean as far as reliability? I don't know. Maybe I'll come to regret this decision. Maybe the bike will end up feeling really cheap and lots of stuff will break on it. I don't know. We're just gonna have to find out, but I'm willing to take that risk. I wanted to try something different. I wanted to try something new. I wanted to try something that didn't just feel like an upgraded Himalayan. Even though I loved the Himalayan, I really wanted to move in a new direction. And so that's why I went with this bike. And please, if you're watching this video and you're shaking your head like, how could you buy this Chinese bike, John? Or you're really disappointed, you were hoping I was gonna reveal the Himalayan, give me a chance. Give this bike a chance. And yeah, maybe I'll hate the fact that I got this bike 6 months from now. Maybe I'll just absolutely bang my head on the table and go, oh, I should have got the Himalayan. But for right now, I want to give it a chance, and I'm excited about it. I've ridden it about 200 miles, and it's gotten me excited and thrilled, and it rides wonderfully. I've tweaked the suspension. It feels good. I've kind of tuned it and set it all up exactly how I like it, and it's really nice. So stick around. Don't unsubscribe just yet, even if you are, a Royal Enfield fan. This doesn't mean I don't like Royal Enfield. I think the Royal Enfield 450 is a fantastic bike. So I'm gonna read through my list really quickly here so you understand how I was able to sort of narrow down after 5 years of riding adventure motorcycles and taking all these multi-day camping trips, having the CRF as my off-road bike, what I was looking for. So I wanted a true 50-50 adventure bike, preferably in the rally style. I wanted something a little bit more modern looking, moving away from that sort of utilitarian Himalayan look, even though I do like that look. I wanted something that's dirt capable from the factory. So I don't want to have to do suspension upgrades or crazy upgrades or mods. I wanted 2118 tires capable of handling most dirt right from the factory, at least as capable, if not more capable than the Himalayan was. I wanted something that was 450 cc or better. I wanted something that was under 430 pounds wet. I wanted a 21, minimum 17 in the rear, so the Himalayan is 2117. I wanted switchable ABS. I wanted a nice TFT, but not too complicated, not all sorts of crazy rider modes. I wanted something that I could easily get through, turn on and off ABS, pretty simple, but yet modern. I wanted a good factory warranty, good factory suspension, under 33-inch listed seat height, tubeless tires from the factory. This was something I really wanted. Now, the Himalayan that I had a pre-order on was the Himalayan with the tubeless tires as well. I wanted traction control, but switchable, adequate wind protection, or at least through accessories. As you can see, I've got the taller windscreen here on the Ibex. I wanted built-in USB port, such a simple thing, but yet so many bikes don't come with it. I wanted factory protection in the form of a skid plate. I did end up getting the beefier skid plate from CFMoto, but it came with a decent skid plate already, which was good. At least 9 inches of ground clearance, preferably a slipper clutch, good brakes. I mean, that's kind of goes without saying. You want good brakes on a bike. At least a 3.5 gallon fuel tank, at least 40 horsepower, at least 30 foot-pounds of torque, LED lights, 6-speed transmission, comfortable for touring, ability to easily mount hard panniers or soft bags, under $8,000, preferably under $7,000, decent colors and trims. I know that's kind of a weird just aesthetic, but I wanted something that had some cool colors. And for the record, the Himalayan that I had the deposit on was the Hanley Black with the gold rims, the really sexy one. Not too much plastic, which there is quite a bit of plastic on this bike. Self-serviceable for oil changes, plugs, and air filters, which I say because the Himalayan air filter is really hard to change, and not too top-heavy. So that was my first list. Now, underneath that list, I had things that I really also was hoping to get in a motorcycle. Number one, twin cylinder. I have ridden single cylinder motorcycles for the past 6 years, and I really wanted something that was a twin. And that was ultimately one of the major reasons why I went with this bike over the Himalayan. I think the new Himalayan is amazing. It's a very smooth single, does really well on the highways, but I wanted to try a twin. And this was the only bike that was sort of checked all the boxes that was also a twin. So that was a big thing. I really had to ask myself the question of, what am I going to do with this bike? You know, everyone likes to think that like they're going to do all this badass off-road riding and technical riding, and that's great. And that's what I do on my CRF. But the honest truth is, when I look back at all the trips that I took on my Himalayan 411, like all my moto camping trips to Colorado, 90% of that riding was either on paved back highways or even interstates, or easily navigable class 1 forest and jeep roads. There wasn't a whole lot of crazy technical riding. And so yes, I want something that's capable off-road, but the truth is I really want something that's more like 70-30, because most of my riding is on easier terrain. And if I really want to go tear up some nasty BDR sections, I'm going to do it on the CRF, not on this. So that was a huge part of the decision. I wanted something that came with factory hand protection. I know that's so silly because over on my workbench, I've literally got bark busters that I'm putting on this because these are just wind deflectors. They're not actually crash protection, but I still like that it came with wind deflectors. I wanted something with adjustable suspension. And now I will say, having ridden the Himalayan, it comes super dialed in from the factory. I mean, the suspension is arguably better on the Himalayan. It's super plush and smooth, really absorbs all the impacts. Suspension out of the box on this bike is actually quite stiff, and I had to go in and tweak some things on it. And I'm kind of a noob when it comes to adjusting suspension, so I had to use the owner's manual and watch some videos and figure out like kind of where I wanted to dial it in. But I've got it pretty dialed in, but it is still a little bit stiff. So yeah, I think the Himalayan's got great suspension, but I wanted to be able to adjust it, right? I wanted something new. I wanted this feature that I've never had on a bike before. One of the things that I definitely noticed about the new Himalayan is how top heavy it felt to me. It felt way more top heavy than the CFMoto. Even though the CFMoto is actually wider on the top, this is plastic, right? So this isn't actually all metal coming out. And so this does not feel as top heavy. In fact, it doesn't feel top heavy at all. I just find riding this is way more confidence inspiring than the Himalayan was, especially when the Himalayan was on its side stand. It was like trying to lift that thing up. So weight wise, they're about the same, but top heavy wise, this feels a lot less top heavy, at least in my opinion. I wanted something preferably with a center stand. Now this bike does not come with a center stand, but I do have the center stand on order. So I decided to get it. I'm still not sure if I'm going to put it on yet, but I did get the center stand as an accessory, the OEM center stand. And I just like, I think, the overall sort of console and dash display over the Himalayans, which is really small. I didn't like the little round display with the tiny little windshield. I like this sort of more rally style on this bike better. That's just a personal preference, but that's what I like. I wanted something with good dealer access, and that was about the same. There is no Himalayan or CFMoto dealer here in Flagstaff, but they're both down in Cottonwood, so I can zip down to Cottonwood. It would have been nice to have cruise control, but because this is a mechanical cable, it does not have cruise control. But the Himalayan doesn't have cruise control either, even with the ride-by-wire, and that's one of those things that's like, all right, I've been riding for 6 years without cruise control. It would have just been a nice luxury. And I wanted something, again, that was self-serviceable. The oil change on this bike is super easy, and both bikes, the oil changes are easy, and they both have pretty decent service intervals for valves as well. I think the valve adjustment on this is like 20,000 miles or something ridiculous. So it's definitely better than the old Himalayan, which was every 3,000 miles, which is terrible. When I test rode this, the throttle was very jerky, and I was nervous that I'm just not going to want to deal with that because I've got that on the CRF, and it really irritates me, and the Himalayan has such a smooth throttle response. But just by going in and tightening up the slack on the throttle cable, it basically eliminated all of it. So there's a teeny little bit of sort of quick response on the throttle, but definitely not as bad as people are saying. It's totally manageable. It's not nearly as bad as it is on the CRF. And so that is no longer a factor in my opinion. So I like this color scheme. Seems like everybody's getting the gray model, and I really like this sort of blue and white model. I think it's kind of fun and exciting and sexy, and I know it's got pink on it, but hey, I'm secure in my masculinity. I'm okay with some pink on my motorcycle. I did get a lot of accessories for the bike. All of them OEM. I did not get any accessories from any of these sort of shady Uncle Wangs or AliExpress. And I know like a lot of that stuff is fine, and it probably all comes from the same factories in China, but I just, it was easier for me to just buy the accessories I wanted when I purchased the bike. And so everything that I've got on the bike right now, with the exception of like my phone mount and a couple other small things, are all OEM accessories. I got the taller windshield, the better skid plate, the rear racks, the front crash protection. I think that's it. Yeah. And I'm getting the center stand as well. So that's what I got. The only thing I don't have sorted on this bike right now, and what I'm going to do sort of this summer, is what I'm going to do for the luggage situation. I did get the racks, but I did not get the panniers, the hard panniers, because they are the one thing with this bike that is just like obscenely expensive. And so I'm probably just going to drape my tusk bags over the racks, but I wanted the racks in case I do ever want to get the hard panniers. So that's my setup. I've got my CFMoto bag on the back. I just took it down to Sedona today, which I'm going to show you some footage of. And it was a delight. It was a dream. I mean, it rode beautifully. I feel comfortable standing on it. I did have to roll the handlebars a little bit up. They were a little low from the factory. But otherwise, it is like perfectly attuned to my sort of size and fit. And so I'm very happy with how it's set up. And the windscreen, the higher one, it is insanely awesome. Like I clicked it up a few clicks, and I was riding at 60 miles an hour today in a complete calm bubble. Not a single bit of buffeting on my helmet. I have never had a ride that calm before at 60 miles an hour. The Himalayan, it was just like blowing you around, even with that tall windshield. So this thing, you just click it up a few clicks, and you're just like, this is delightful. I did get the taller seat as well for when I take longer trips, but it is tall. It's too tall for me. I can flat foot with the factory seat, but the tall seat I cannot. So I'm not sure whether or not I'm gonna use it, but I wanted to get it because I wanted to get all the accessories I could before all the tariffs went into effect. And knowing that this stuff's gonna be hard to get at some point, I just wanted to get it all while I still could. So that's why I ordered all the accessories now, just so that I got them. I'm excited to share some new adventures. I think my garage is finally where I want it. I've got my CRF and I've got the new Ibex, and yeah, I'm excited. So I'm gonna cut over to the footage now. Thank you so much for following along. Take care, be safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, my friends, I am about to make y'all jealous. Look at this insane ride we find ourselves on. It is 60 degrees, perfect breeze blowing over me, insanely awesome canyon walls on both sides. The geology is spectacular. We got red rocks, we got limestones, we got a little snow up top. We're going through the junipers and the pines. It is spectacular, and I can't think of a better road to be riding up today in these perfect conditions on my brand new Ibex. This is exactly what I wanted to do today. I took a little ride from Flagstaff down through Sedona, which of course was busy and crazy, all the way down to Cottonwood, where I popped in to see the dealership where I bought the bike, had to pick up something there, and now heading back home, and we've got the road to ourselves, which is really nice. And I'm just soaking it up, man. Soaking it up. So, by now you've all seen my little intro where I talked about new bike day and why I chose this bike ultimately, and how it was not an easy decision. And I want to make that very clear, because again, I imagine there's a lot of you that are maybe disappointed that I went with the Ibex instead of the Himalayan, or maybe just surprised that I would do that given my history with the Himalayan 411. And I just want y'all to know that this was definitely a I don't want to say mathematical decision, but it was definitely a logic based and very well informed decision. So I did not take this lightly. I did not take it glibly. I did a lot of research. I test rode over a half a dozen bikes, everything from the Ibex, the Himalayan, to the Honda 500, to the KLR, to a DR650. I mean, I really did kind of ride everything that sort of falls into that mid-size adventure category. Of course, I didn't ride the new 390 because it's not out yet, but I did ride an old 390, like a current 390 KTM. And so I did my research, and it didn't take me long to narrow it down to the Himalayan and the Ibex. Those were sort of my final two that I was deciding between. And the problem was that I hadn't actually ridden the Ibex. On paper, it was perfect to me, but I just didn't know what it was going to ride like. And so I was leaning towards the Himalayan. I really enjoyed the Himalayan. It's a wonderful bike. It's super smooth, arguably a smoother suspension even than the Ibex now that I've ridden, now that I own the Ibex. I'd still say that the Himalayan may have a better just stock suspension. So I hadn't ridden it, and then I finally got a chance to ride the Ibex, and I loved it. So I think it's a little different than the Himalayan, and I think there's definitely some things that the Himalayan does better. And there's a lot of videos out there talking about that, and how a lot of people are saying the Himalayan is overall a little bit better off-road. And it's really comes down to such a personal decision. And wow, look at all the snow that's still tucked up here high in the canyon. That's crazy. I hadn't appreciated that this morning when I came down. But yeah, we got some snow right here. Anyway, so am I gonna come to regret this decision? I don't know. As of right now, I'm really enjoying this bike. We'll see. Obviously the big question mark with the Ibex is long-term reliability. No one really knows. It's a brand new bike. There's certainly questions about buying a Chinese bike. Again, it was not an easy decision. I had to think about this. I had to think about dealer networks. I had to think about availability of parts. I had to think about tariffs, which are now a thing. You know, if I would have bought this bike now, it would have cost me $1,000 more because of the tariffs. So I got it in before the tariffs went into effect, so I got a really good price on it. But all of these things weighed into my decision, and you know, man, I'll tell you, that Himalayan is a wonderful bike, but in the end, there was a few things that pushed me over to the Ibex. Some of those things were silly, like I just like the looks of the Ibex better. I'm not a huge fan of the new look of the Himalayan. I like the old Himalayan a lot, but the new look just wasn't really calling to me. And you know, if you saw my test ride video, you'll note that I spoke about how the new Himalayan feels a lot like the old Himalayan to me, just more powerful. And while that's amazing and incredible, I kind of wanted to try something different and not just get an upgraded Himalayan. And I kind of wanted to try something that was a twin. And so that was probably one of the biggest motivating factors in getting this bike, was that it was in fact a twin, and but still has the off-road capability, right? So I mean, obviously, like the Honda 500 is a twin and it's an incredible on-road bike, but I wanted that 21-inch front wheel. I wanted to be able to touch the ground with both feet, low seat height, as it were. You know, this just checked all the boxes, really did. I didn't like the Himalayan, how top heavy it felt, even though the Ibex is actually wider. Man, look at this road. Love this. This is freaking, like, this is the good stuff. This is the candy here. This is the ice cream on a Sunday morning, man. Whew. Yes, sir. God, look at this. One of the things that I've really been enjoying with the CFMoto, and you know, I suppose you could say something negative about this as far as like the Chinese government spying on us or something, but the app is actually really cool. So the Ride app syncs up with what's called the T-Box in the Ibex, which is this transmission box. It's basically like a GPS locator, and yes, I suppose that means that somebody in China is probably tracking my motorcycle, I guess, if you want to say that. But what's cool is every single ride I go on, it records a track and gives me all the statistics for it. And I am a huge numbers guy, so I love like reading all the numbers from each one of my rides. So I've really been enjoying that, like kind of using this app to learn my habits when I ride. And what I've noticed in the first 160 miles of my riding is that I've been riding fairly gently, which is a good thing since I'm in the break-in period. So I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing on this bike. Look at this view. Look at the snow over there on the mountainsides. See that? Incredible. Anyway, I've been blabbing long enough, but I just wanted you all to know that I hope you consider sticking around. You know, I know if you joined this channel or you subscribe because you liked my Himalayan content and you're a little bit disappointed that I've moved away from the Himalayan and now I'm on a Chinese motorcycle, all I ask is that you give me a chance. You know, and maybe it'll all come back to bite me in the butt, and this bike will end up being a lemon, and I'll be like, oh, I was so stupid for moving away from the Himalayan. But you know, I wanted to try something new. That's it, everybody. Cheers to all of you. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.